The Eightfold Path is a path to take conscious footsteps towards the way of enlightenment. With each step, you liberate yourself from your pain and transcend them into joy. And with each step, you find peace and happiness in your actions. The Eightfold Path consists of 8 steps on a path towards enlightenment. Now, the idea of the Eightfold Path was delivered in the first serum by the Buddha, and without this was the guide to end suffering in the Four Noble Truths. Now, the Four Noble Truths are essentially the Eightfold Path, and this truth explains the nature of our suffering in our lives. See, the Buddha taught that the Eightfold Path is in almost every discourse, and this wisdom is timeless. This wisdom can help anybody to enhance their mental growth and attain a state of nirvana by freeing oneself of all those cravings and all those desires. See, the Buddha taught that we must understand the cause of our suffering in order to resolve it. The practice of the path can help achieve one, happiness and inner peace. When we walk the path, we face a mental shift in our consciousness and how we understand and relate to everything in our world. See, each step along the path is interconnected. We are not separate. And to find and to understand and master one with each step, and it supports each other. See, for each one to walk with moral conduct and the path towards universal love and compassion and wisdom for all living things. See, the Buddha gave this teaching for the good of many, for the happiness of the many, and out of the compassion for the world. See, according to the Buddha, for the one that walks this path, one must have 2 qualities: love and compassion. Love and compassion are inseparable. They are linked together, and they represent love and kindness and tolerance and clarity, which are such noble qualities. On the other hand, though, our emotions and our mind, the Eightfold Path is not always a prescription, but it seems like it's a prescription for our behaviors and these qualities that can present how we can be a mindful person and how to understand and get to obtain nirvana, which is the state of oneness, and end our suffering. The 8 steps along the path towards liberation are grouped into 3 categories, which are the Buddhist practice of moral conduct, of mental discipline, and of wisdom. Now, moral conduct is based on wisdom and compassion, and it's included in the 3 paths of right speech, right action, and right conduct, also known as right livelihood. Now, right speech is when you try to avoid lying and gossip and slanders in all forms of your speech. When you stop using hurtful words, then it becomes easier and much more comfortable. When one uses speech of love and kindness, these are words that are pleasant and easy and friendly and meaningful and useful. See, the statement of the Buddha states that when one is absent from lying, then you speak the truth. One that speaks the truth is absent from lying. And the right speech lies in all different forms, though. See, watering the seeds, sometimes we water these seeds of hatred, of greed, or disillusion. And hatred is a motivator by, taking place in the wrong place at a time, trying to hurt somebody or hurt or damage others. See, harsh words can often offend others, so they should be avoided. Now, greed is one that lies and aims at trying to gain something over somebody else or gain a personal advantage over someone, such as a material possession, wealth, respect, position, title, etc. When delusion is the motivator, these lies are kind of like compulsive lies for the sake of telling a joke or a small white lie. But if the Buddha wanted everybody to live in harmony, in a mutual trust, where they have and then they can believe what others are speaking right truth. And Buddha asks his followers to avoid the gossip and all these different kinds of speech because they are poisonous, they are hurtful, and they are misleading. And once we speak at the right place, at the right time, if you do not have something useful to say, then just keep in silence. When you gossip, you destroy relationships. Now, slander, on the other hand, is this other kind of hated speech, you're out of disharmony, around a certain group or people. The motivation behind this is to, offend another person or group. It's kind of this us versus them mentality. And slander often is giving your voice and a negative viewpoint of how you're seeing things. And, instead it's kind of like, pride is the origin of the slander. And pride is when one feels superior over another person. And when you look down, and slander creates the suffering. And when you are behaving in a harmonious and in a peaceful way, then right action is the second step in this moral conduct. And these three components to maintain good and peaceful behavior. See, right action prevents us from wrong actions like destroying lives and stealing and being in dishonest dealings, and from like illegitimate sex and intercourse. And when we should always try to help others and lead a mindful and peaceful life in the right way. See, right action according when you react clearly and more peacefully. The Buddha was against destroying any life. When you have right action, when you can refrain from killing others. But with wrong action, then you commit to the acts such as murder or suicide or even abortion. See, according to Buddhism, when you harm anything, then you're committing harm to yourself. See, violence arises within the mind with thoughts about killing. See, when you have the right action, then you can respond correctly to any situation. See, stealing is one of those that defines and taking from another person their property without their permission. When one does not respect the ownership of things and other people, then they will take it from them. And this path to happiness cannot be traveled with stolen goods. Stealing is just an admission that one cannot pay for the good honestly, or is simply driven by an impulse to make that wrong decision. When you have dishonest dealings, understanding the impact that it actually will have on you. When you have this dishonest behavior, it can ruin both your business as well as your reputation. To be dishonest is to be untrustworthy by your past actions. Trust is the building blocks to right action. And when you establish relationships with trustworthy people, then you can weather the storm. But if you are untrustworthy and dishonest, then even a rainy day can destroy that relationship. In the path of enlightenment, we should always keep away from having illegitimate sexual intercourse. See, sex is this powerful force in all of us, and in and of itself is neither good nor bad, but it can create craving and suffering. And the way of mindfulness is to drop our cravings, all cravings, including our sexual desires. See, right conduct also refers to right livelihood, which also has to be doing mindful actions and living and leading a life towards enlightenment. And when you live a moral and ethical life, then you see the big picture and you decide to take the right conduct. For example, we are led to believe that actions of war are being justified by the greater good, but this leads to death and destruction. See, Buddhism teaches us to look at the big picture here and say that no, all killing is wrong. See, Buddhism also teaches us to be accountable for our actions and to see the greater good in all situations. And when you are faced with difficult situations, then you're able to understand and see that everyone has their level of perception, and one person can see and justify the killing of other people by saying that they're going to free and their people from the oppression and end the cycle of suffering. But here's the thing, acts of violence and revenge are not right conduct, since they continue the cycle of suffering. On the other hand, right conduct is helping others. In Buddhism, helping others can be by giving to charity, giving food to the poor, or just giving without a reason. See, many people give because they feel guilty or they want something in return. In Buddhism, though, on the other hand, you're just justified just to acts of giving, just to give. See, See, giving is just a natural thing to do since it's a state of mind. And when you are just living the right way, right conduct, when you're providing moral and ethical guidelines, it's not kind of like this list of do's or don'ts, but it's this wisdom and the compassion. And by putting our responsibility on the individual to achieve enlightenment. We all want to end our suffering and want to be happy. Now, right conduct teaches us the idea of oneness, of everything, and we are not superior to anyone or anything. We are all one. And when we practice and we put our awareness on our actions to end our suffering, then we can practice right conduct. Now, when you are mindful and you have accepted awareness of your inner and your outer world, when you are peaceful and relaxed and mindful in all your actions, and when you are mindful, you are detached from yourself and from your reactions, and you have a gentle perspective with clarity. You have an accepting mind, then this mind is open without resistance and is being aware in the present moment. Just this moment is our pure awareness. Now, the second division of this noble eightfold path is in the mental discipline. And when you have mental discipline, you are using right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And when we have these mental formations and mental focus, we can see more clearly and cut through the layers of our disillusion. Now, right effort has to do with right work and right attention. The Buddha believed that it was possible to reduce the chatter in the mind that causes a person to have these bad thoughts. When one trains with the mind, with hard work, and thinks with right effort, then it can become more peaceful in your life. Once you've gained control of our thoughts and we replace the negative ones with the positive ones, then we are walking along this path. The right effort provides positive energy for mindfulness, which is the steer pointing towards awareness. See, right effort is not giving up on your efforts until you have attained whatever is attainable by maintaining your efforts and putting it towards your practice. Now, your mental process of your right effort is in 4 groups. Okay, to prevent the arising of the unarising of unwholesome states, to abandon unwholesome states that have already arisen, to arouse unwholesome states that have not already arisen, and to maintain a perfect, wholesome state already arisen, to prevent the arising of the unrisen, unwholesome thoughts and states in clarity in the mind, called in Buddhism. Now, the 5 hindrances are the senses, ill will, boredom, worry, and doubt. The reason they're called hindrances is because they're obstacles that block the path towards enlightenment. To abandon unwholesome thoughts that have already arisen is to stop the patterns of these energies that are being created in this state of mind. See, these patterns must arise to the surface since they're buried deep within your subconscious mind. And to repeat these unwholesome thoughts and emotions, we can create new patterns and to arouse wholesome new thoughts when we create new energies that are using right effort and cultivating a mindful state of consciousness. The way of enlightenment starts with mindfulness. See, mindfulness creates the way and bringing awareness and shedding light to the present moment. See, once we have created good patterns and wholesome thoughts, then we need to maintain them. We need to be mindful and make sure we do not relapse our old ways so they do not disappear. When you want to nurture and grow these thoughts to create mindful behaviors. See, right mindfulness is when we cultivate mindful thoughts, such as we are aware of our surroundings and we are keeping our thoughts in the present moment. We do not let our mind create fears about our past or worries about our future. See, mindfulness starts with our mental process and how we react to them. The 4 mental processes help us cultivate and keep a practice towards mindfulness. There are many difficult types of mindfulness techniques out there. For example, breathing, sitting, and walking. When we practice these kinds of techniques, we are mindful of our actions. We are mindful of our speech. We are mindful at work. We are mindful towards our friends. And we are mindful towards our loved ones. See, right mindfulness is to be aware and be present in the moment about our feelings and how we should be aware in all forms of our sensations as they arise, and if they're pleasant, if they're unpleasant, or if they're neutral thoughts. And right mindfulness helps us be aware of these thoughts as they arise in that moment, and to be able to see them clearly without being attached to them. See, and distracted. See, mindfulness is about being aware. And when you are aware, you can see clearly how your old thoughts and behaviors and how they were controlling you. See, your thoughts and your ideas are either controlling you or you can control them with right thoughts and mindful exercises. Each of these are anchors to bring the mind to the present moment. So you do not have to get carried away with your thoughts of your past and drift away, or about thoughts about the future. See, right concentration is the last mental discipline among this path towards wisdom. See, concentration represents practicing right speech, right action, right conduct, and cultivating skillful techniques towards mindfulness. Once your mind is uncluttered, then you can concentrate on what you desire. And when you use right concentration, it turns the mind to see things more clearly. When you're no longer seeing things clearly, then you're not at your level of perception. But if you're seeing them clearly, then you're at a higher level of perception as a whole, and you can see the earth more clearly. You can see the light in all beings. You can see the right concentration, and you can see the oneness of one in everything, from the lakes to the rivers to the suns to the sky. You can see that you and the cosmos are not separated, but one. When we return to our breath, to this peacefulness, this mindful activity that's creating this concentration, this energy of peace and joy, and when we walk with these energies of mindfulness and concentration, we can transcend our suffering into happiness. Now, we can overcome our sorrows and difficult situations that have come and arisen and happened in our life when we are able to watch all our mental formations and watch the sensations as they arise and realize the impermanence in them. Then it's only left is pure awareness. The thoughts are just guests. They come and go in your house of consciousness. But you are that consciousness. You are that awareness. You are the watcher of your thoughts. And when your mind is trained and disciplined with right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, then the last two steps remain. You have journeyed through the path of practice of moral conduct and mental discipline and wisdom. And in the last category, when you walk towards wisdom, you use right thoughts and right understanding. See, everything starts with a thought. When you have right thoughts, these are ones of love and of kindness, of nonviolence towards all living things. It's essential to consider that one has these right thoughts of selflessness, detachment towards love and nonviolence. Then you are walking on this path towards wisdom. This is clearly shown in true wisdom, that it comes from these noble qualities, and our thoughts of ill will and hatred and violence are the result of our lack of wisdom in all areas of our life. When we need to turn to our energies away to the impurities of the world and redirect them towards the right thoughts, right views, right actions. And when we learn to control the body and the mind, then we can unify our body and mind. And the wisdom that is attained by this and by following this path. And when you walk this path and follow this path and practice this path through this wisdom, all your ignorance, all your cravings will be shut off, and the true sense of enlightenment will be there for you to realize it. And understand Right understanding is to keep ourselves free from prejudice and disillusion and to see the true nature in life. When you see things as they are, then you have wisdom and clarity to see them. How the Four Noble Truths work in every aspect of our lives. With right understanding, you have attained the highest wisdom, which is to see the true reality. When you can see the true reality, you have the deep understanding in things and true nature without giving it a label or a name. This is only possible when the mind is free from all the delusion that is the walking on this path of mindfulness. See, that Eightfold Path is this way of life. It's a self-discipline in the body, in the mind, and in our spiritual practices. See, Buddhism is not a religion. It is a practice. It has nothing to do with belief, prayer, worship, or ceremony. It is a path that leads us towards mindful steps for completing freedom, happiness, and peace through spiritual and moral and ethical practices. And when we have these anchors of awareness in our moral conduct, in our mental discipline, and then we can create wisdom, and this wisdom can create and cultivate love and peace and harmony. And with each of us along these steps of this Eightfold Path are practicing these acts on nonviolence and harvesting energies towards love and kindness toward all living things. And it's through our devotion and through our practice that you will be able to see the glimmer of nirvana at once along the horizon. So the only question I want to ask you is, are you ready to go along this path? This path is not many that many travel, and you have it enter your suffering with your practice and dedication. My name is Dustin Dunbar. Please follow us in the Universe of Consciousness, and you have yourself a blessed day.